shocked.
Welcome back, Crackle Addicts. I'm Lupine Fiasco. This is Daily FaB Gameplay, and today we are playing Aurora Shooting Star. For anyone who is new to the channel, what we do here is review replays of games I played on the Talishar.net client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my games. I will talk through turn cycles as if I were taking them now, explaining my thought processes for the lines I would take, and compare that to the lines I did take. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future, taking down paper events, and walking away with that shiny, shiny cardboard. If you would like to check out the deck I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. It is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. If you'd like to engage further, there is a link to my Twitter, to my Discord, and to my Patreon. Without further ado, let's jump right into the action. We win the die roll against -IO and choose to go first. And what we're really looking for in this game, now spoiler alert, I win, is not necessarily how to maximize value turn to turn. Now, I think we do that pretty well. There are going to be some spots where we can talk about improvements, but specifically what we're looking for is when I should have pivoted to a full fatigue plan. Because I miss it. And so the analogy that I came up with for this situation is we're driving on the freeway, we miss our exit, we still get to where we're going, but we want to find out where that exit was. So we're going to pay attention and really determine based on the flow of the game when we make the decision to start sacrificing offensive value and when we should really hard commit to that. The opening hand here is pretty bad. At minimum, we can grasp, but that's kind of the maximum for the turn 2. I don't want to give -IO the opportunity to filter by attacking with second strike so that I can pitch current funnel into Aurora. And because Dash is playing Achilles Accelerator, she has Arcane Barrier 1 and she could pitch to prevent a rune chant. If Dash was on her new Battle-Worn boots that give action points, then I am potentially thinking that I will pitch current funnel into grasp, attack with second strike, so push 1 point of damage with the rune chant. Second strike now has go again, and I can use my last floating resource to attack with Starfall and then attack with Snatch. And we're probably getting at least 4 cards from Dash. If she wants to play an item off the top, then she's going to take extra damage from the Snatch, and we draw a card and can potentially even pitch a blue into Aurora to make an embodiment or play a sigil. We have options, but those options don't exist when Dash is AV1. So what I want to do instead is just pitch into grasp. And I actually want the pitch to be Snatch and current funnel. I want to overpitch, make that rune chant, and then get a second strike into arsenal so that I have a strong opener for my next turn, because I'm pretty confident that Dash is not going to want to pitch into AB outside of turn 0, because she's going to want to convert that hand into offense. And more of a last-ditch effort, if my hand is totally unplayable, maybe I can block, but at the bare minimum I get to fire off second strike, potentially have it attack for 4 with go again, and then follow up with Snatch. So if I'm making the call now, that is my line. I'm instead going to pitch second strike and Snatch, and I think this is defensible because depending on what we draw into, there is always the possibility of pitching current funnel to make an embodiment of lightning with Aurora, and then getting to attack with Snatch with go again, and then maybe even have more turn left. Now unfortunately we draw into 2 more blues, so this hand is very tragic, and if we had Snatch in hand or Snatch in arsenal and then second strike in hand, we would feel a lot better about this turn. So if we are looking at things that we want to do this turn, we want to attack with our Snatch, we want to attack with an Erase Face. And to make all of that happen, we need Erase Face, Current Funnel, and Blink. And what that turn is going to look like is attack with Snatch for 4, we play Blink to get our action point back, we attack with Starfall for 2 with Go Again, and then we attack with Erase Face. And that means that we have a Current Funnel that we can block with. So do we want to block this Zipper Hit? And for me the answer is no. I really don't want to use armor for anything besides Heist or onboard Boom Grenade, because I don't know what is on top of Dash's deck. I cannot put her on having a Boom Grenade on top. If I could, I would definitely block this with Current Funnel and Dyadic Carapace. But I cannot assume that every card on the top of Dash's deck is Boom Grenade for the purpose of blocking decisions. So I do just want to save my Current Funnel to block something else, something down the road. The worst thing that happens to us is that Dash does not have a follow-up. Maybe plays the Zipper Hit, plays a Teklo Core from hand, and arsenals the last card, and in that case that is a little tragic. We're in a position where we're probably just arsenaling a Current Funnel and we're not super thrilled about it. It isn't the worst thing. But I don't think that blocking with Current Funnel here is the correct line. We could also potentially put Dash on a Pulse Wave Harpoon, and if she has Pulse Wave, maybe the line is Zipper Hit Go Again, 0 to 60 Go Again, Pulse Wave Harpoon. If we've blocked with Current Funnel, we now need to show her Erase Face, and she takes the Erase Face and then our turn is much worse. So there are definitely lines where I would want to block this Zipper Hit with Current Funnel. This isn't one of them. I am happy to just let the Zipper Hit connect, and unlucky that Dash has a Boom Grenade off the top, because had we blocked with Current Funnel Dyadic, this would have been much better for us. She either plays the Boom Grenade and now we know about it and can commit more armor to blocks, or she boosts it away with her next attack. So, bad timing, very unlucky. We can't really put her on it. I don't know that it was a mistake not to block there. She is going to draw and crank a Cerebellum Processor. This Zipper Hit will get blocked. We probably should have blocked that with Balance of Justice as well to get our 2 points in case Dash decides to draw with the Cerebellum Processor, because she's already drawn once from Spark. So that is a bit of a misplay as well. Not that this hand necessarily needs to draw. I don't know yet how much we're supposed to look for that Balance of Justice value, if we're supposed to hold it or save it, because we are expecting that Dash will give us more opportunities to break our Balance of Justice. We haven't seen a High Octane yet. This is the first Cerebellum Processor. Dash will have it on her next turn as well. So it isn't necessarily a value leak that we did not block with and break balance there, but it is something to have been aware of, that Dash had already drawn once in the turn. She had an action point for the Cerebellum draw. She even had a second action point to get to do something with the card she drew. So I would have liked to have at least blocked with balance there to know that I had the option. But this is a very playable 4 cards, and there aren't too many cards in our deck that actually make this hand better. So it could absolutely be correct to just hold the balance for a High Octane turn when we do need more cards in hand to block with. So we're playing out the Snatch, attacking with the Starfall, and then we attack with the Erase Face. Dash doing us a favor by giving us all of her armor on the Snatch, so that the Erase Face now puts her in a very interesting position where she could give us 2 cards from hand, have 3 cards, and probably not do all that much on her turn. Or she gives us 1 card from hand and the Adaptive Plating, and whichever one of these items she galvanizes, we're very happy about it. She's either giving us a full card from the Cerebellum Processor, or she's giving us 4 resources from the Teklo Core, and either one is a big win for us. We'll see at the end of our turn when we draw up what our Balance of Justice would have drawn. If nothing else, it just goes in the arsenal. Static Shock here would not have been great. We could not have worked it into our turn, and yes, it would go in the arsenal, but then it isn't really helping us defend. And I found as Aurora, we are more often the defender than the aggressor in the -IO matchup, so I don't necessarily mind this Static Shock in hand. Dash plays High Octane, she has the Cerebellum Processor. We absolutely do want to block with Balance of Justice as soon as we can this turn, because we want the option to break it, to use it defensively. Much more so now that Dash has shown us Boom Grenade off the top of the deck. We've got a 0 to 60 coming in for 4 with Go again. I would like to block this with Balance of Justice and Dyadic Carapace. We can look at the cards in hand and see what does our best turn cycle look like. And unfortunately, we don't have an Embodiment of Lightning. If we did, then this hand is very strong. We get to Gone in a Flash, Blink, Gone in a Flash, Discharge, Gone in a Flash for a 3-card 15. But because we don't have that embodiment, really our best option here is block with Gone in a Flash, pitch Blink to attack with Starfall, play Discharge, attack with Static Shock, make an embodiment. That is the best way to convert this hand for full value, which is what we want to be doing, considering that we are behind on life, we are behind on power cards, and Dash's turn is really just started. So we need to cover this 0 to 60. We don't mind blocking with Gone in a Flash. We could block with Gone and Lightning Greaves to cover that 4, but I don't like doing that because if Dash then plays a blue T-Bone, we lose armor value. We're blocking a 1 power attack with a 2 block piece of armor. So I want to block with Balance and Dyadic, and that also gives us our balance value so that we can break it really the very next time that Dash gives us priority, so that maybe we now have another 3 block in hand and our blocks get even better, or we at least have more options. Because if we have to block with Gone in a Flash and Static Shock, our turn kind of just sucks. We pitch Blink into Grasp, attack with Starfall for 1 and 1, and then we Arsenal Discharge. So I hate this line because Static Shock Discharge is our best play. Gone in a Flash Blink, Gone in a Flash Arsenal Discharge is like fine, but also means that we just aren't blocking anything else this turn, and I'm pretty sure we're going to need to block something else this turn. Had we blocked with Balance previously, we could break it now so that we potentially draw into something with which to block the Fast and the Furious that isn't one of our 3 block attacks. We will cover this with Balance and Dyadic. Shout out to Grasp. I lost a point of armor block in one of my pro quests by blocking with Dyadic Carapace and then having my opponent play Scramble Pulse, which I don't think is a card that many Dios are on, but something to be aware of. That this floating 2 resources in card in Dio's hand could be Scramble Pulse for 5 that lowers the block value of my Dyadic so that it breaks at the end of the combat chain. Seems unlikely, but it is possible. I should note, I've been saying, if we had blocked with Balance, then we could break it here. We cannot break Balance. Our opponent has only drawn 1 card so far. If they use their Cerebellum Processor, then we can break Balance. But no, we could not have broken Balance leading up to this block. So, interestingly, we are in the same position we would have been in had we blocked with Gone in a Flash. Previously, had we blocked with our 4 armor, Dash breaks the chain, we block with Gone in a Flash, Greaves, we would still need to put 3 power in front of this Outpace. Because this Outpace is attacking for 5, Dash has 5 action points after this, 4 shots on the Symbiosis shot, and depending on what she has on top of her deck, she might draw this card and attack with it too. So I don't love taking 5 here. If we take 5, we go to 24. 4 pistol shots puts us to 16. We're 17 life down, and our turn is not that good. Even if we had Static Shock in hand, this turn is not that good. We're pushing 9 damage, making an embodiment, putting Dash down to 24 to our 16, and we are very much in danger of dying. So I do think we need to give Ganon a flash here, and honestly, this is probably the stage of the game. This is the turn, the very early turn 2, where we say, you know what, we are not going to win with damage. We are going to win because Dash has 42 cards left in her deck, and we have 52 cards left in ours. And we are just going to do a bunch of blocking. Speaking of blocking, let's not do any of it here. For one thing, we cannot block from hand. For another, we are not going to give armor to stop the symbiosis shots. We are going to hold our armor for when we would potentially need to cover up a boom grenade. No way to know if Dash is going to draw this card or not. Now, if she does use Symbiosis Shot to draw a card, we can break balance. And if we draw a 2 or 3 block, then that plus Carapace means we can cover a 0 to 60 or a Pulse Wave Harpoon. But Dash not going to draw with the processor, and we cannot break balance. So our turn is just going to be a very weak 1 card 2. And Arsenal a Discharge. If we wanted to play the Discharge, we could make this a sick 2 card 3, but there is no reason to play the Discharge here. We can just Arsenal it and hopefully maybe do something with it coming up. So Discharge on this hand is actually very good. We play Flittering Charge, we play Discharge. Flittering Charge probably hits. Static Shock then attacks for 7 with Go again. We pitch Heaven's Claws to attack with Starfall for 2, make an embodiment, Arsenal Sigil of Suffering, pass the turn. We are very happy with our 3 card 13 that made an embodiment. 4 card 13 that made an embodiment. But instead we have a Fender Bender coming down, backed by a red Boom Grenade. We are no longer in a position where we can just send full offense because we cannot afford to take 8 damage. So how are we blocking this? It really depends on whether we think we are going to get to keep cards. If we block this with Heaven's Claws and Second Strike, then we are really hoping that Dash plays like yellow 0 to 60. She can cover the point of arcane damage with Sigil of Suffering, meaning that Sigil only blocks for 3. So if this is like Pulse Wave Harpoon, red 0 to 60, then we need to block with Heaven's Claws and armor anyway, or Flittering Charge into armor anyway. And we did just lose block. So if we block this with Heaven's Claws, Second Strike, hoping that we're going to get to 2 card 7 Arsenal Sigil, and this last card in Dash's hand is like red 0 to 60, then we're getting armor. I really don't want to give armor, especially if I'm thinking that I'm now in fatigue mode. So I do think, as much as it doesn't feel good, the best line is to block with Flittering Charge and Second Strike. We save our armor, we save our Sigil, we save our Heaven's Claws, we can pair that with Dyadic Carapace that lets us cover a heist. We can use Heaven's Claws and Grasp to cover a 0 to 60. Instead it is just Cerebellum Processor. Dash cranks, draws a card, and passes the turn. So what I would like to do is now send that sick 2 card 3. Does not feel good, but what it does is clear our arsenal to put Sigil of Suffering in, because if I'm in full fatigue mode, I think this is where I am not taking my exit. This last turn really should have been the indicator, like, we are spending 2 reds to block a Boom Grenade. We are not winning on damage. We're 8 life down. Dash found another Cerebellum Processor. we are just blocking. And so this electrostatic discharge in arsenal does nothing to keep us alive through defense, but clearing it out of the arsenal lets us put 3 to 4 more block into our arsenal, which is much, much better. It also opens the door for Channel Lightning Valley Sigil of Suffering combos if Dash happens to tap out and can't pay for the Arcane Barrier. So this is a huge mistake. This is a massive misplay. Not only are we taking an intellect penalty, which is always bad, but we are specifically losing out on more defense, which is exactly what we don't want to be doing. You know, if the Sigil of Suffering was like Arcanic Shockwave or a 3-block attack, I feel a little better about the line because neither one benefits us on defense from the arsenal, be it electrostatic discharge or an attack, but the defense reaction specifically should have gone into our arsenal, which means we should have cleared our arsenal from this discharge. We draw into a pretty weird hand. We would love to play this Warmongers if we could, which means that we are blocking with Sigil, Shockwave, and E-Strike. We would need to keep 3 cards in order to actually attack and Warmongers, those 3 cards being E-Strike, either Shockwave or Sigil, and Warmonger, so that we could E-Strike for 5 go again. It's a terrible value considering how far behind we are. I would much rather just block with E-Strike. How are we going to cover up the 0 to 60? I would love if I could check my opponent's discard and banish just to do a Boom Grenade check. I don't think it is worth blocking around Boom Grenade. I've said that already. Yes, we did get bit by that advice at the start of the game. How likely is it to happen again? Without being able to check, I can't tell you, but it's like playing around the Lightning Press, the Razor Reflex. You can't just keep doing it. Eventually you need to make them have it. So how do I want to block this 0 to 60? I don't mind blocking with Shockwave here, just to give my opponent more time to tap out. I'm going to play the Sigil of Suffering, which is not necessarily bad. If our opponent just has a bunch of reds, they're probably not going to pay for the Sigil, but they do have the resources to pay, so they do get 1 damage over the top. Thankfully not followed by a Boom Grenade. Here we have a Fast and Furious coming in for 3 go again. We can cover this one with E-Strike. On our turn, we then have the option to play Discharge, play Warmonger's Arsenal Arcanic Shockwave if Dash doesn't have a great follow-up here. This block doesn't particularly matter. At this point, I am thinking that I'm going to block with Shockwave as well. So I'm not super concerned with which of these actually gets more defensive value, because I think they're both being used on defense. Dash has a nice backup protocol off the top of the deck, using that floating resource and giving her Fast and Furious 1 extra point of damage. It's bad news for us. So far, she still has not drawn 2 cards. She is going to do a lot of banishing though. Luckily for us, hitting a Spark of Genius with that Foundry Heart. So 1 fewer power card for her to block with. Here I would like to block with the Shockwave, and in watching this game back, thought, you know, this was the turn where I was supposed to realize the way this game is going, and we're just blocking out. We're not trying to send Discharge Shockwave for 7 Arsenal Warmongers. We're really in panic mode here. We're just trying to fatigue. So I should be blocking the 0 to 60 with Shockwave. Not blocking it is a mistake, and we could also block this Outpace, but not blocking this, another mistake, because we get Pulse Wave harpooned, and the Pulse Wave is going to take our Warmongers, so we don't even get to play it. We cannot block with the Shockwave here for value. We're losing 2 points of defense. Here I do think keeping the Shockwave and just playing it with Discharge for 7 is fine, but we're so far behind. I would much rather trade the 7 damage that I will deal to Dash for 3 more health. So 2 horrendously botched opportunities to just block, and we're about 2 turns too late, realizing that we should have gone full fatigue, but that last turn certainly is the biggest offender, the biggest loss of value, by just taking 8 damage, not blocking with the shockwave, and then getting punished by the pulse wave harpoon. So at this point, I do recognize that I am just in panic mode. We are just trying to survive, which means that nothing is sacred. We're gonna block with Gauntlet and Flash. I want to block with Arc Lightning. If I could play Warmongers, I would. Here, I think I'm trying to play around Boom Grenade, not realizing that Fender Bender gets that extra attack. But we shouldn't even be trying to play around Boom Grenade. For the same reason, we have to make them have it. We cannot be afraid of the off-board Boom Grenade. We have to assume that at some point she will not have it. Seeing that High Octane get banished is really great news for us, though Dash does find a Cerebellum processor off the top. We've got a T-Bone coming in for 1 with Go again. Dash has already played off the top, so we know that there is no Boom Grenade tied to this T-Bone. We can just give our Lightning Greaves and save actual blocking armor for the onboard Boom Grenade, possibly even the Heist. We've got a 0 to 60 coming in for 4 with Go again. I'd like to block this with Arc Lightning. We are not going to play the Arc Lightning this game. This game will not be won with Arc Lightning. And I think here, again, me just not quite understanding what we're doing in this game, we are never going to attack. If we attack, then the game is already ended. Now, at the same time, if this Arc Lightning is a Warmonger's Diplomacy, we're still blocking with it. I don't have to check Dash's Banish to know that this Heist hitting is very bad for us. So we would have made the same block with every card in our hand except Sigil of Solace. We would just be at 1 less life, but we would still have a point of armor on Grasp. Now, hard to say which one was actually better, but we would have been in a very similar situation. We're going to Arsenal the Sigil of Solace. That's just hiding information. We do not need Dash to know that we're actually at 8 here. Dash pitching a max fee to play a Boom Grenade off the top just gives Dash the out to play more items off the top, but seeing that max fee get pitched instead of played is really good for us, and Dash does even find the backup protocol on top of the deck. Dash really getting down into it though. Again, it'd be great if in a replay I could check Discard and Banish and just see what Dash has left, but I know that she is now out of High Octanes. We have not had a max fee played against us, and we just saw the first one pitched, so I have to assume there are 2 more somewhere in Dash's hand and deck. But the fact that we have High Octane come down now is great, because I really do want to break this balance of justice. As far as blocks, we are going to give, I believe it should be Entwine and Shockwave. It definitely should not be Shockwave E-Strike. I don't want Dash to know that I can block 6 from hand. I want her to think I can only block 5. But as far as what do I want to hide from Dash, the Shockwave or the E-Strike, it really doesn't matter. I'm anticipating walking with all of these anyway, but I do think if I weirdly get to keep 2 cards here, I would like to be able to E-Strike for 7 and not have Dash know that I can do that. As far as blocking, we need to consider a few things. Dash has not used Foundry Heart. It would be dangerous for her to do so, considering that she only has 10 cards left in her deck, but it is possible. We know that she can use her Cerebellum processor, and doing so lets us use Balance of Justice, but it does mean that there is potentially another attack. And if Dash is holding blue in hand, she could pitch it to play T-Bone, Zipper Hit, Throttle, Heist. Do we want to block the Symbiosis shot? I don't think that we need to. I I think we are okay to save it for either the next symbiosis shot or whatever Dash is going to use with her backup protocol. So maybe she just pitches a blue, picks up a Pulse Wave Harpoon or a Zipper Hit, and we can use the Entwine Lightning to block that. But I don't think we needed to have blocked that first symbiosis shot. I think we're okay to block the second one, and then we have Shockwave and E-Strike to block whatever the finisher is here. Second Spark coming down. Balance of Justice is now online, so we will get to break that. Dash finding Blue Boom Grenade lets us know that she's really got nothing left in the tank. Understandable, she does have a Blue Boom Grenade in pitch, but 7 cards left in the deck is really not looking great for her, which looks fantastic for us. All I'm saying is we could easily be at 6 or even 9 health right now, in which case we are actually very far ahead in the game, considering that Dash has really nothing left. Boom Grenade and Techlocore in pitch. Yeah, she has 4 charges on the symbiosis shot. Got that Zipper Hit coming in for 4. We're going to break balance. We draw into another 3 block, which is great. Thinking about what Dash could have left in the deck. She has only boosted twice this turn, so she does not have an option to use Processor, draw Max V, use Foundry Heart, attack with Max V. It does mean, though, that we have to think about Throttle and we have to think about Heist, because Dash could very well still have those in the deck. And if we block this 0 to 60 with Shockwave, E-Strike, basically 2-3 blocks, and Dash manages to find a 5 power attack on top of the deck, then we can only cover 4 and we end up taking 6 damage. Our Sigil can't keep us alive through that. So I would like to block this 0 to 60 with Carapace and Shockwave. We are then just putting E-Strike and Shockwave in front of the Symbiosis shot. But we're blocking out with this hand. I just don't want to use 6 to cover this 0 to 60, because I need to be aware that Dash could very well still have 5 power attacks left in the deck, which I cannot cover, so I hate this block. At minimum, we could just use a 3-block E-Strike to cover a 2-power Symbiosis shot, rather than a 1-block Carapace to cover that 2-power Symbiosis. 0 to 60 blue coming in, we have to put 3 block in front of this. We cannot afford to take the Boom Grenades. I would much rather have a 3-block in my hand and have no Carapace. As it is, we are going to get hit by 3 pistols this turn. Dash has 1 action point left, and we're assuming she's going to use the Accelerator in order to get another pistol shot through. We do get to heal up to 4, then go down to 2, and Carapace is going to keep us alive at 1, but we could very well be at 2 if we had used Carapace instead of a 3-block to cover that 0 to 60. At this point, Dash only has 4 cards left in her deck. Her pitch zone is Blue Boom Grenade and Techlocore, so we need to be aware that the top card of her deck could be Boom Grenade, in which case maybe she throws a 4-power attack, another red 0 to 60, maybe she has a Zipper Hit left in her deck. We need to block it, because Blue Boom Grenade off the top is 2 damage, it will kill us. The hand that we draw into is very solid. Dash boosting away that Techlocore, so we know now that the top of her deck, the only card left in her deck, is Blue Boom Grenade. We were already going to block this 0 to 60, but now we definitely are, and we'll give our 2 block to do it, save our 2 3-blocks to cover whatever is coming next. If you were smarter than I am, you already know what these 3 cards are, because you were watching Dash's pitch stack. I was not, but I have to assume that they are not very good cards, because they are 3 of the 4 cards remaining in Dash's deck. She's been pitching blues to play reds, or in this case pitching reds to play blues. We know that this Max V is unplayable. We know that Dash can no longer boost because she has no cards left in her deck. We do not need to block the Symbiosis shot. We will just go up to 4, then back down to 2. And we'll see what Dash has left. She can also no longer pitch to Arcane damage, Arcane Barrier, so the Sigil of Suffering does block for 4. And Dash just passes the turn. We will Arsenal Sigil, and knowing that one of Dash's 2 remaining cards is Maximum Velocity means that we are pretty fine. Just play Channel Lightning Valley, play Sigil of Suffering. I'm assuming that, we just win this turn, but let's at least refresh the hand, get another 2 or 3 block in here, hopefully. Somersault, fantastic. If Dash just, I don't know, has something that she couldn't possibly have, considering that she has no action points, and we see 2 max fees. So a very close game, much closer than it needed to be, considering how badly we blocked and how badly we played, considering that we were going to fatigue this Dash, and we knew as early as turn 2. We had a lucky break with that Erase Face, getting Teklo Core and a red T-Bone away from Dash so that she could fire off her High Octane, but it was such a good High Octane turn, and we were already so far behind on life. We had only seen 2 power cards out of Dash. There was no way that that game was ever going to be anything other than fatigue, and we needed to just commit to that early, which means blocking from hand, not getting got by that Pulse Wave Harpoon. It means playing the Electrostatic Discharge so that we can clear space in our arsenal for a Sigil of Suffering. It means being a little smarter about our armor, considering what Dash could still have left in her deck, and how our 3 blocks cover pistols better than our 1 block pieces of armor. But it is nice that Dash is going to let us know that early in the game that this is how the game is going to go. And I do, in fact, sideboard for this matchup such that many of my instants come out and more of my blocking cards come in. I don't know that every Dash.io game is going to go this way. I have played Dio games within the last week and won them where we did actually race and I was actually playing like an aggro deck and not like a weird fatigue hybrid. But be aware that this is a way that your Dash games can go, and if the Dash rolls very hot, you will not win. If the Dash rolls a little lukewarm, you can definitely get there based on the density of block cards that Aurora does play. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If so, be sure to claw that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, consider a YouTube subscription. It's the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. I have a Blue Sky, I have a Twitter, a Discord, and even a Patreon. All of those socials are in the video description below. Catch me back here next time for more daily FaB gameplay, and until then, take care.